And then instead of playing the bass in, I created the bass line by changing the cutoff of the filter. So it's basically a super resonant tone, really low down. It creates all these laser sounds because as you're moving the cutoff automation, it goes up super high, much higher than you would on a keyboard.
We're giving away a signed vinyl of Jamie XX's In Waves. All you have to do for a chance to win is like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tell us your favourite track on the album in the comments. The winner will be announced in the comments at the end of the month.
But the thing that I wanted to do, I knew from the start, was that hook. And I just started filtering it. Put a phaser on it, like they do in all those old classic French house tunes, and just tried to keep it as simple as possible. And like chopped up the best part of each horn to simplify it.
Yeah. And do you automate those phasers? Do you tweak them?
The phasers, again,
live?
Just a basic Logic one.
Yeah.
And I just make sure it's super slow and there's not that much resonance on it, so that it's just doing a small amount to keep it moving. And then side-chained it to a kick, which I don't normally do these days because it's so overdone over the years. But because I wanted to reference all that French house stuff, it was kind of the obvious move for this. And also the horns kind of sound like they're doing that anyway, just in the placement of the groove. So it lends itself well to that. So I kind of just had that on loop for ages and then made a bass line for it and used a bunch of these old breaks that was off like a 90s sample CD that I got off eBay. So things like this. And they're like, you know, they're CD quality, but that adds some kind of texture when you layer them all together. Yeah. And then the thing that I did with the bass that was kind of a accident. I turned the resonance up super high, like to the max on this Logic synth. And then instead of playing the bass in, I created the bass line by changing the cutoff of the filter. So it's basically a super resonant tone, really low down. So it creates all these laser sounds because as you're moving the cutoff automation, it goes up super high, much higher than you would on a keyboard. I used a tuner just to do that. I mean, they're kind of off anyway because the sample's a little bit off.
Yeah.
But if I turn up the cutoff, it changes the tone, the note of it. And it kind of came out with this really wide bass sound that I don't think I could have created with like a regular synth.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the basis of it. Then
this episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, and you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode.
I used that bass for the verse as well.
You're giving me life. Shitty, pretty, wow. You're giving me life.
But it didn't quite work on its own without being backed up by the sample. So I came up with a bass riff instead, and that kind of became the idea that there could be verses, because now there's two hooky parts, essentially.
Is this the other bass line?
Yeah, this is the verse bass line, which is just using sort of a regular Serum, very used bass plugin. And I think that helped with Robyn writing a vocal melody as well.
Right.
But that was the last bit I added, the verse instrumental parts. The second part that I added was chopping up the sample in a different way to make what was originally going to be a verse, which turned into the bridge or the middle eight. So I chopped up the sample like this. Which is the same bit of the sample from the other section. It's just chopped in a different way and filtered. And then I had these really lovely warm synth sounds that I can't even remember how I made them, from another project. And that in combination with that sample made a really nice emotion. Kind of somewhere that's a lot warmer and like brighter at the same time somehow. And if you filter this right down, it's quite emotional. So I was just playing with that a lot, and that's sort of how those three sections is how I sort of built the structure of the song.
And are those gated at all? How do you keep it all so rhythmic?
It's just so for that, with that synth thing, I had just dragged it so that it all felt in groove enough with the sample. I tried to keep the groove of this original playing on the sample as untouched as possible because it was so good already, and then splice everything into that groove as closely as possible. But again, a lot of it was just happy accidents.
Yeah.
And there's this other element of the pre-chorus, even though it's the shortest part of the song, seems to have the most stuff in it. But this also, just a tiny layer, really adds to the emotion of that. So yeah, those are really just the three building blocks of the song. And Robyn came in and it all started to make sense.
Yeah. I mean, Robyn's a writer and producer herself. Would she offer opinion, or did she?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we started out by texting, but then I went to Stockholm to work with her at her studio. She's got this amazing, it literally feels like a cave right in the middle of Stockholm, with this guy Klaus, who's her producer and has worked on all of her records, and he's great, really, really good at what he does. And he introduced actually this little part here in the second verse. It was his idea to add this Klaus pad. I love that. And it's just, again, it's referencing all that French house type stuff. And it just elevated the track. Just this one stem just took it again into that, just referencing that world enough, I think.
Yeah.